Good morning or evening, depending on which side of the pond you're on. Welcome to Across the Pitch. We're the soccer show for people who think berry is a kind of fruit.
Oh, that's tough. Come on, mate. What are we going to say about that, Darren? That's a lot.
There's not much call for any jokes around Bury at the moment, I don't think. But yeah, it's been in another way. They do need something to have a laugh about in the town of Bury. It must be heartbreaking for them. I think the whole of football fans in the UK are feeling it, to be quite honest, because but for the grace of God, it's everybody. Any team could be affected by this going forward.
They really can, and it's really the thing about the whole Bury situation that catches me compared to how things operate with American sports is in American sports, the teams are a franchise of the league. So the league has a vested interest in making sure that its teams don't go out of business because they're franchises, just in the same way as if you bought a McDonald's or a Burger King franchise, that the corporation McDonald's or Burger King, they would have an interest in that you ran your store properly. If you weren't running your store properly, they would take it away from you. With the EFL, these clubs are not franchises of the EFL, and the EFL really has very little care because if a team goes away, there's 700 other teams in non-league waiting to come up, and unfortunately, EFL is treating it that way.
Yeah, Phil, I don't know. I think the EFL certainly has a vested interest in making sure that the teams are sustainable. Otherwise, you don't have a competition. Do you know what I mean? And Bury isn't the only one. Okay, so for our fans that are listening, Bury underwent some financial strife, couldn't play, players even, couldn't afford ground staff. So they had volunteers coming along to clean up the ground on the weekend. It basically came down to poor managerial expertise or mismanagement, basically. But they're not the only one. There are other teams there that are struggling. Not everyone's an Accrington Stanley, for example, Darren.
Accrington Stanley.
Float the boat sometimes.
It's difficult, yeah. I mean, from all accounts, the EFL have been trying to do as much as they can, really, to keep Bury afloat. But from what I'm hearing and gathering, it's so much of a mess, a tangled web in there of the ownership and sold car parking spaces off to, far afield, other countries, and it really is a mess.
Yeah. Our hearts certainly go out to the people of Bury and those Bury fans. I mean, that's to have your team just basically disappear off the footballing map is got to be tragic. I couldn't understand that. I can't comprehend that.
What happens next scenario is a big topic of conversation at the moment, because you've got, for instance, if Bury do manage to either get a new team together, a new ownership, can they come in at League Two, which, some people say that's not fair because other teams have gone bust and they've had to start right at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then it's, for me, I think they should do everything they can to try and slot them back in the Football League if they've got new owners and they have a completely clear out, just to keep that 100 and odd years of football, the history there, just keep it going for me.
Right.
I guess what I would say in terms of that is this isn't a situation that's unique to 2019. Obviously, we all know what happened with Accrington back in the 1960s. We know what happened with Newport County in 1989. And in those cases, those teams reformed. They started at the bottom of the pyramid. No different than AFC Wimbledon, even, if you will. I don't understand quite what makes Bury special and why they should they not have to start at the bottom like those other clubs have had to in the past.
I just probably feel a little bit more empathy, that knowing the struggle that Accrington had to go through and these other clubs, that maybe they could, even if it was just in the National League, to slot them in there for the size of the club. And it seems ludicrous to go right down to the bottom to me. I don't see the benefit to anybody.
I mean, I guess here's where I'm torn. Personally, I feel like the EFL had 3 months of off season to sort this situation and should have figured something out, and this never should have happened. Now that it has happened, I think that if you don't follow the same process that always has been followed in the past, it sets a dangerous precedent. Because then what you have is you've got these shady owners like this Dale guy or like the Oystons or whoever, who will now see, now I can buy a team and bankrupt it, but they're going to keep their league status, and I could just see these shady individuals twisting this once you've broken the precedents. And I mean, at the end of the day, going to the bottom and working back up, I mean, Newport, Accrington, AFC, Wimbledon, it can be done. And I just think that the precedence is that the team is out of business. This has happened for over half a century now, probably more than half a century. I'm sure it happened all the time in the 1920s, 1930s. I mean, it's the way that it's always been, and as unfortunate as it is, I think you set a dangerous precedence if you don't make Barry start at the bottom.
You're a hard man, Mr. Kennedy. No, I totally understand where you're coming from. It does make sense that there is so many teams that have struggled, but for me, I don't know. I'd just like to see them not have to probably scrape around right at the bottom of non-league and to come in at a decent level for a club, just a semi-professional level, to give them a chance, really. But that's probably, I've just got a little bit of affinity with them because they're, the next most local club to Accrington. So, yeah, there you go. Maybe if it was a team in London, I might not feel the same way. I don't know.
I was going to ask you about that, though, because usually your local rivals are your most hated ones. Excuse my bird in the background, by the way. It's not even my bird. Usually your local, your nearest opposition, they're your most hated rivals. But, I saw a real affinity with Accrington and Bury during this whole thing, the owner. So Andy Holt, for example, reached out to the Bury fans and said, "Hey, present your passes and come on over. You can watch a game with us." Which I don't know, that surprises me. I like it. Do you know what I mean? That's very, very English of you all, I have to say. But
I think it's just a little bit unique more than. It's just because we're local. We've been through the same amount of troubles. This hasn't started in the last, year or two. This has been going on. Both clubs have been struggling for, well over 10 years, where there's been on the edge of bankruptcy at certain times. And I think once you know that it's got to the point where the football club is going to go completely, and we've had that in the town 50 odd years ago, and what it means to a town, I think you start looking at that situation a little bit differently than what you would for a normal rival.
Right.
It's not wanting a team to get beat, to get relegated and laugh at them. It's something completely different. I don't think it is. Maybe it is an English thing, I don't know. But I think it's just, it goes beyond football rivalry when you see a team just going to go out of existence. Because if you've no rivals, you've no football, have you, really?
Right, there you go. Right, spot on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you think, Darren, do you think they're going to, and there's a wonderful term, which is a lovely segue into our next bit here. Do you think Bury is going to start off in a lower league, or are they going to be one of those Phoenix clubs, if you know what I mean?
Phoenix? I've never heard of them. Yeah.
No, but you know what I mean. So
I think they will be a Phoenix club. I think they will be starting again from the bottom. Personally, if I had to put a few quid on it, yeah, I think that's the way it'll go.
So a Phoenix club is one that is basically reformed under the same similar name, and they start
AFC, Bury, or whatever. It's just the big point will be if they can secure the ground for the new team, because if they do, I think they've half a chance. Because I think the crowds will flock in if they'll come back in numbers just to keep the club going. But if this is start again at another site, and I don't know, it's all going to work out, but.
Speaking of Phoenix clubs, how good was it yesterday seeing MK Dons versus AFC Wimbledon? I mean, I thought this was a match for the era. Do you know what I mean? It was amazing. It wasn't a particularly good match, but this is a club that was transplanted from Wimbledon. So we're talking MK Dons to Milton Keynes. And then AFC Wimbledon was the Phoenix club that came up behind it, that started in Wimbledon there. And they met yesterday.
Yeah,
this is delicious.
Is that not more of a people probably in America will probably associate with that, where a club can move, a sports team from one city to another, where I think in England it was just so alien to the whole country to move a football club. It just, I don't think it's happened since. I can't imagine it ever happening again.
No.
It would be, it's similar to when the Baltimore Ravens meet the Cleveland Browns.
There you go.
Because
the
ball in the original Cleveland Browns back in I want to say it was like 1996, 1997-ish. Moved from Cleveland to Baltimore, and then 2 years later, the new Browns were founded, and they actually both play in the same division and meet each other twice a year. And there certainly is not a lot of love lost when those two meet.
Yeah.
I mean, Baltimore's definitely better than the Browns. Well, until this year, I guess. But
yeah, traditionally Baltimore, but we'll see what happens this year.
Right, rising.
Oh yeah. So how long can this run go on?
I was having 18 wins. 18 wins as of last night, and I tell you what, we ground out that win last night. It was a 1-0 victory over San Antonio. I think we scored in the 86th minute, I think, Phil, or 87th minute. And I've not
87th minute.
I've not celebrated a goal so hard like that in such a long time. I was having a chat to Matt, Mr. Wizard, Matt Robards, and he said we need to have a loss, or at least a draw, because we're not playing like we should. We're like almost kind of trying to protect that record, which is not what we should be aiming for. I mean, and he pointed out, you have a look at the New England Patriots, for example. Go the season undefeated, but lose the Super Bowl, so no one talks about them anymore, ever, right? So his point is quite valid. It's like, hey, you need a little bit of a wake-up before the playoffs, which is still a good 6 or 7 games away. I don't know. I think he's valid. But, yeah, we did it tough last night.
Yeah, I saw the goal. Good goal. I've started looking at other leagues and round and thinking, is this a unique situation? How many, what is the record in a major, football soccer league for consecutive wins? It must be.
In North America, it's 18.
Yeah, I'm just wondering in Europe as well and other places. There can't be many leagues where a team's won 18 on the bounce. It's just incredible.
Well, what about like Celtic or something like that?
Are you going to correct him or shall I?
What?
Celtic is a pronunciation.
Oh, I thought that was a basketball team.
No. So the Celtic. Yeah. There's not as many of these little mishaps as there were a few episodes back, but you get an odd one. Yeah. Yeah, even so,
Scottish league, but I know that they dominated every year, and I'm just wondering they have to have had some winning streaks over the years.
Maybe unbeaten for that long, but I can't. Right. There's no way. It's competitive enough for teams to snatch odd draws here and there, and they've got Rangers who are also a massive club. It's a 2-team league really, so it's not like USL. It's a 1-team league.
that little barb.
I think that the thing that we have to come back to is what I was mentioning to you the other day. It's certainly the Phoenix Rising are dominating the Western Conference, but over here we have the Western and the Eastern Conference, and the Eastern Conference teams. The only time that we would ever actually meet them would be in the championship game. There are some strong teams over there like Red Bulls 2, Indianapolis 11, Tampa Bay Rowdies that we haven't played yet. So it's really hard to say that it's a runaway when if you threw Phoenix Rising in the Eastern Conference, who's to say it might be a whole different outcome? It's just I don't know.
Yeah, it was only a joke. I mean, looking at it, some of these victories that you've had of the 18, they've been hard fought victories, haven't they? They haven't been walkovers every week. So there's been some competitive games in there, haven't there?
It really have been.
Yeah, I'd say about half and half.
Yes.
About half blowouts, half competitive.
Yeah. That brings me on.
By the way, sorry, I just did some little stats checking while we were talking there, and Celtic does indeed hold the Scottish Premier League for the most amount of wins. Between 2003 and 2004, they had 25 games unbeaten. Not unbeaten, sorry, 25 games winning on the trot.
Right. What years would that be?
2003-4.
All right. Okay. Well, wow.
Listen, I would have thought.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So
lucky stab right there.
Yeah. All thanks to Google. Yeah. Yeah. So even the team I've been following have been on a little mini run lately, haven't they?
Yes. How are they going there? The old Roughnecks.
The Roughnecks. So they've had a new.
I actually watched them last night. They're looking feisty.
I think they've got 8 points from 4 games now. And that's on the back of not winning a game for near enough the whole period where Rising were on the winning run. So,
yeah.
So they've won 2, drawn 2 the last 4 games.
So what was the turnaround there? Right. Okay.
I think new ownership. I don't know, new ownership and a couple of players. I think so. I just keep a little eye on it just for a bit of fun. Coming back at you.
I don't think we play Tulsa again, do we? No, we're
no. They've had enough. They're on the ropes. They've had enough.
Yeah, we took care of them a couple times this year. But I'll tell you what, there actually was a little bit of Tulsa talk that broke out on Twitter last night after the game. We were all talking about how they are looking like one of those teams that might make a break for it, but at the end of the day, there's just they only have, I believe, 6 games left, which means that they can get a maximum of 18 points if they won out, which would only put them like 3 points ahead of where the 10th place team is now, or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's going to be next year for them, I think.
Yeah, it is strange though, football, isn't it? How teams that can go so long winning and losing, and then all of a sudden some little bit of form or something kicks in, and it is strange.
It really is. This is what frustrates me and delights me about football in equal measures, I think, because you think your team's going well, all of a sudden they have this little hiccup, like, I don't know, being an Arsenal fan, for example, that's usually around about January, February, and you've just waved goodbye to all 5 competitions you're in.
I think a lot of that has to do with what you're saying, is being in 5 competitions. That's when the injuries and things like that start to pile up, especially after that Boxing Day week.
I'm surprised you know what Boxing Day is, Phil.
It's the day after Christmas. You throw away all your boxes.
Something like that, yeah. It's also when the Test cricket starts down in Australia as well, so keep an eye out.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I was already saying that to my wife. So not this Christmas, next Christmas. That's the return leg of the Ashes, Phil, which will be really engrossed into knowing.
Do you think you might make
We're
a little
the soccer show for people who think ashes come off the end of a cigarette?
Oh. I had to explain to Cindy, my Cindy here, what the Ashes was all about, and she was absolutely surprised that it was a bunch of really snarky cricketing wives back in the day.
Yeah.
I wasn't real happy about the death of English cricket, but anyway, we digress. We were talking about form. Yes, across the wicket. We were talking about form teams. League 1, League 2. There's been some outstanding starts in a couple of these competitions here by these teams.
Yeah, not by Accrington.
Let's come back to Accrington, but I'll tell you a team that surprised me a little bit with their scoring punch is Peterborough.
Yeah, I must say I'm quite surprised by that, Phil.
Wigan,
No,
for me,
no, go ahead.
is the turnaround. I mean, they were just woeful last year, and they're top of the table in League One right now.
Yep.
Yeah, they are, and they got a win yesterday. Ipswich had a loss yesterday, or actually it was a draw that they had yesterday. The other team that's up there is Coventry, and they're a team that was going through some financial issues last year, as I remembered. So it's good to see them up there.
And I don't know if you guys know, but they're not actually playing at the home stadium now.
Right, yeah.
They're playing the home games at Birmingham City. There's some
crazy.
Yeah, there's some contractual rights issue going on at the stadium. I mean, they moved stadiums probably about 20 years ago into I think it was the Ricoh Arena then.
That's right.
And then there's a rugby team who I just can't remember who actually is it. Wasps who they share with, and
I think it's Wasps, right.
And they've ended up owning the stadium, and Coventry have to pay the rent on that now to play there. So there's been a lot of controversy about how much they pay. So they've up sticks and gone playing their home games at Birmingham.
How far away is Birmingham from Coventry?
I'd have guessed I'd say about 20 miles, but Phil will probably correct me with his little map on his wall, and he'll
well, actually, I was going to say about the same distance as Accrington to Manchester, according to my map.
Yeah, about 20 miles, I'd say, I guess. So it's a strange scenario. Yeah.
Hey, 20 miles there and 20 miles here is a little different. I mean, 20 miles here. I mean, that's what I drive to get to the Phoenix Rising game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's where you go for a loaf of bread, isn't it? 20 miles.
I looked it up the other day, and apparently Accrington, the city, is about 3 square miles, where Phoenix is 517.
Yeah, we can't compete on that, Phil.
We've got everything from Manchester to Leeds, every direction.
Yeah. Well, see, one team who is in trouble in League One is Southend United, aren't they? Have you noticed that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they are in big trouble, haven't they? They lost all of the games so far.
I mean, if it wasn't for Bolton with their 10-point deduction there, Southend would well and truly be anchoring that League One table there.
Yeah, they are struggling.
So they've had 6 matches, 6 losses, and have a minus 13 goal difference. That's horrendous to start the season with.
Bolton, they're in big trouble.
They really are.
They're really fishing for goals over there.
What was that, Phil? What was that?
For sure.
Oh, he's alluding to the nickname, I think, aren't you, Phil?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Right.
We digress.
Yeah.
We do indeed.
So let's move a few rungs up to the table and let's talk about Stanley, who are in 19th right now. They did get a very hard-fought draw yesterday against the Bristol Rovers, and I was encouraged by what I saw. What did you think about yesterday's game, Darren?
Well, you probably know more than me, Phil, because you had the privilege of watching it through iPhone, where I can't do that. But so I was just watching it, getting texts and messages through from people who are at the game, 1 or 2 people, friends I know. And it sounds like a good point at the end of the day, doesn't it? When you're down to 10 men and eventful game, chances at both ends, you take that a point away from home.
It was a very questionable send-off, to say the least, because, I don't know about you, but to me, if you're giving a guy his second yellow card, it has to be something that's definitely a card. And I'm not even sure this was a foul.
No. From all reports, he held him back, didn't he? He pulled his shirt a little bit. It's something that goes on every minute of every game. So yeah, the referee just decided to pull him up on it.
Yeah, I almost wonder if he told the ref to fuck off or something like that.
Maybe.
Well, that's going to be a yellow,
yeah.
So, quite often as well, it's an accumulation of fouls too. It's like if you're tugging on the guy's shirt once, you probably get away with caution. If you've done it like 3 or 4 times under the ref's eye, he's going like, you know what, you've had enough. See you later. Go and have an early shower. Off you go.
Yeah. And it's quite ironic, really, because Keneally, he's not normally that kind of player. He's to say he plays in the centre of midfield where it's all happening. He doesn't seem to get involved in all those scrapes and arguing with the ref and things like that. He's got quite a clean cut image, really.
Yeah.
There was quite a bit of extracurricular activity throughout the whole game. There was a lot of bad blood between those teams, which kind of surprised me actually.
Yeah, considering they're opposite ends of the country. Yeah, what was that all about?
It might just be sometimes. It's probably not the fans. It might be the players, one or two of them who know each other. I think they play with each other. A bit of a bad blood. It sometimes happens like that, doesn't it?
Yes, I mean, I think you have guys that, maybe they met along the lines and when they were playing for other teams and, things like that. But yeah, I mean, they played last season. They obviously met twice last season, but before that, the two clubs hadn't met for like 4 years. So I don't really know where all that was coming from.
No. It's not a ground I've been to either, so I'm shame I didn't make it yesterday, so I'm hoping we're still in the same division next year. I'm going to try and make that. It looks a nice little ground and a good club to visit, to be honest.
Yeah, Bristol's not a bad part of the world.
Yeah, Bristol's a nice city, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, I'm just looking at the stats here. There's some very positive stats for Accrington, like 19 shots on goal. That's a very aggressive forward attacking team there. Was that a straight red? I don't know whether my stats here are correct. Was that a straight red for Seamus there?
No, I think it was
the second yellow. That's what I was talking about earlier. And then the second yellow was a very weak yellow where I rewatched it about 3 times and I'm like, he had to have said something to the ref because the ref didn't pull out the card until after they had a verbal exchange, and I ultimately feel like the card probably came from verbal exchange.
Dissent. Yep.
Maybe.
Well, that's a good result, I would say, considering Keneally was off at the 49th minute and managed to, pull one back. Well, actually, they had one there. Yeah. They went down 3-2 at one point, and then they pulled one back, so it was 3-3. Good result for Aki. I think things are looking up, Darren.
Yeah, I think turned the corner. I mean, Phil came with a good point a few weeks ago regarding the amount of new players. I don't think it's settled down yet, really, into the God knows how many new players there are. I've lost count. There seems to be somebody new coming in every week.
16 now.
16. Okay, there you go.
You have the biggest squad in England where it's going. But yeah, it hasn't settled down. So a lot of these new guys, I haven't seen them play yet, to be honest. Some of them haven't even come off the bench. So it's work in progress. I think there's been good signs. We're unbeaten in 3 now, including the cup. So yeah, it's we should be all right. We've got a tough game next week, though. We play Sunderland.
That's actually a perfect segue to something that I have to talk about, and that is someone who made not only their Accrington debut, but their professional debut yesterday. He actually came on in around the 60th minute, was Jerome Opoku, who is the new center back who is coming on loan from Fulham. And let me tell you, in 30 minutes on the pitch, this guy made an impact. Not only defensively, but moving the ball forward, on the ball skills, and on top of that, he's 6'4". So this guy is, as you guys say it in England, a big unit. He is a big unit back there at center back. And, he is a dynamic player. And it was just that the moment he stepped on the field, it was almost like as soon as he came on, it was back to 11 on 11 because he was like having 2 guys come on. I was impressed.
Yeah, so we'll need a massive guy, won't we? Because we're playing a massive team. So
Boo. They're massive. Peterborough smashing them 3-0,
when it came up that he was, they named him as a giant centre back. I thought, well, we've already got one with Ross Sykes, so you could put another one. They're going to be
exactly.
Yeah, a couple of big guys. Yeah, it'll be helpful in that league.
Yeah, I mean, I was just really impressed, and even the I follow commentators for Stanley were talking along the lines of that they could see Stanley playing like a 5-3-2 or something like that to just make use of all of the talent that they have in the backfield now.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Really? I don't know.
That's what the commentator said. That's not what I was saying. But I'm just saying when this guy came on the field, it was like, okay, this guy needs to be on the field all the time.
Yeah, no, it's a good sign going forward. That Phil, I'll look forward to seeing him in action.
Yeah, well, it would probably be signed for Arsenal because we haven't had a good rampaging midfielder since Vieira. But okay, go ahead, lads. I wish you. Hey, I know this is a little bit off topic, and you can kill this conversation if you want. But since we've started this podcast, I've noticed, I've joined a couple of, Championship League 1, League 2 groups on Facebook, and there seems to be a little bit of a hatred's probably not the right word, but there's a little bit of hatred from the lower league clubs, especially with all this Bury and Bolton stuff, towards the Premier League clubs. I don't know if this is a topic we're going to have a chat about now, lads, but I find it interesting because that's surely all every football.
I think it's a whole episode by itself, is what I think.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, I think you've two sets of supporters for me. You've got the sets of supporters who follow a team who are trying to get into the Premier League, so they see that as the Holy Grail. Right. And then you've got the type of club who I support, like Accrington, and probably another, half of the teams in the EFL who probably know the place a little bit in the grand scheme of things, and look at the Premier League and just think it's maybe killing football long term.
Right.
But the teams who aspire to be up there, they're all trying to get in there. Everybody in the Championship thinks, well, most teams in there think they should be getting in there, and once they do, it'll secure the future going forward. And like it's trying to win a lottery ticket. But the teams who are always going to be in the EFL are just looking at it as now. It's almost looking at it now as another sport. It's a difference between like rugby league and rugby union. That's how I see it. Yeah. Yep. It's not looking at it as the same sport. Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Phil has no idea.
I could gather. I could gather.
That's how I see it. I might be wrong, but
no, I think you're probably right.
The supporters of the clubs like Stanley and Burton Albion and Rochdale and whoever, Doncaster Rovers and teams like that, they're probably just looking at it.
Doncaster fans think they should be in the Premier League.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No.
They're just happy to stay afloat, honestly.
Yeah, I think out of if you had to look at League One, the teams who realistically think they could get up there at some point in the future are probably the likes of Ipswich, Sunderland,
Portsmouth,
perhaps Portsmouth.
Right.
That's probably it, really.
Yeah.
You know, Bolton probably would have done until 5 years ago, but even so.
Well, even Coventry was a Premier League team like that.
Coventry were, they were a Premier League team, so perhaps them. Yeah, but very briefly. I think they had one season in all of my lifetime. So it's not an established previous Premier League team. So it's a difficult one because I like the Premier League and I watch it, but I don't feel any kind of affinity to it really.
Interesting. I find it interesting. I mean, it's always been Premier League for me, as I was saying, until this year. And when I started delving into these lower leagues and seeing the depth of rivalry and the stories behind it and just how freaking crazy it is at times. I mean, towards the end of last year, there was like, in League One, there was probably 10 teams that could have gone down, or 12 teams even. And it's just fascinating football. I love it.
Yeah. And even going down into the non-leagues, I mean, or another point that we're catching up on things that have happened this week. A picture of me on Twitter with a non-Accrington Stanley shirt on. So it was a guy called John Utley. He runs a company who do retro shirts, and he turned up at the book launch a few weeks ago and ended up with a South Shields retro shirt, and they're like a non-league club from the northeast near Newcastle. It was a shirt from 100 years ago. Really good quality shirt, actually, from Minster Village, they're called, who produce these shirts. They're going to be doing some for Accrington Stanley going forward. I think Peter alluded to that on this chat with Phil.
They're already on the onstanleyon.com site, and you can actually get a shirt from just about any year of Accrington, and they're pretty affordable too. I want to say they were about £50.
Yeah, and the absolute top quality as well. So you can pick a shirt from something, it might be for a relative, your father, grandfather, something from a certain era in the 60s, his favourite season, and you can just get him this quality shirt. They'll do it a bespoke one. It's absolutely brilliant. He's the guy himself, John. He's a really knowledgeable football guy. He sports York City. So I don't know if you're aware of York City, previous football league club.
York City?
Yeah.
I know a bit about them.
Yeah, that's the real York, not the New York.
Not the one where the bricks for the Empire State Building are out.
Yeah, this is a show, isn't it, for people who think York City, who think York City playing the MLS. No. They're now in the Conference North, trying to fight their way back up there. They were in the Championship briefly, but they were like a League One, League Two club for many years, and they're trying to fight their way now to the Conference North, and they're having a decent season.
Can I also give a shout out to one of my favourite non-league teams? They're from Armidale, my hometown. They're called the Demon Knights, or DK for short, and they play in the Northern Inland Premier League, or Nipple for short.
Love it.
I think we're heading into the playoffs now, so good luck, DK.
And speaking of non-league, we also do want to give a shout out to another one of our favorite non-league teams, Loughborough Dynamo, who won their first qualifying round game yesterday at the FA Cup. They'll have 3 more games that they'll have to win before they make the first round proper. So we'll keep you up, and if Loughborough is able to win their next 3 qualifying games and make it to the first round proper, then there's an outside chance that we could see an Accrington versus Loughborough matchup in the FA Cup. So let's knock on wood for that one.
That would be good fun, wouldn't it? Hey, it does happen. These teams do get through and play league teams, don't they? So I remember when Accrington, when we were non-league, quite a low level, we used to, in the early 90s, we managed to get through to the first round, and it's such a big thing for the club and finances, etc. It's great for them.
Yeah, I imagine that's a good shoot of money for a team at that level to even get one game in the first round proper.
Yeah, it's what the whole of the non-league aspire to do really every season. It just sets them up for the next couple of years for the budgets, etc. And it's great, isn't it?
So we'll keep you up to date, but they're through their first round qualifying game yesterday, and then we'll keep you posted as the whole FA Cup starts to unfold.
I wait with bated breath. That was snarky of me. I'm sorry.
In 4 months when Arsenal comes in. Now, one of the things that we definitely wanted to talk about is the new North American Accrington Stanley fan club. version 1.0.0.0 of the website is up at industryandprudenceconquer.com. And if anybody is interested in the new North American pin badges, which you can see a picture of on the website or on the Facebook group, they are available right now only to existing Accrington Stanley fan club members residing in the U.S. or Canada. If you reside in the U.S. or Canada and you're already a member of the main fan club, then just go ahead and shoot me an email at contact@acrossthepitch.com, and I'll get you your badge shipped out for an additional $2 plus shipping.
And they're very impressive, aren't they, Phil? They're really,
They are.
they're good design, aren't they? I'm really impressed with them.
Yeah, I actually worked together with Tony Robinson and Peter Latham and the design company, and we all kind of worked together to make a very, I think, the design really kind of pops at you because you got the U.S. flag on one side, the Canadian flag on the other side, Stanley seal in the middle, and I think it's a good-looking badge, and I can't wait to start sending them out to folks.
I gotta say,
excellent.
They do look good. They do look really good. But let's not mention Mexico.
Well,
we don't have any.
I was going to bring that up, actually.
We don't have any confirmed members in Mexico, and certainly we are not opposed to having members in Mexico. It is a little bit different shipping situation to ship to Mexico than Canada, so that's
me driving to the border.
Yeah.
Like, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, certainly anybody interested in not only Mexico, but I mean anywhere in Guatemala or Nicaragua or Panama or anywhere, Puerto Rico.
It's come too late because last Christmas I did a cruise and we went to all the Central American countries, and I could have took the pin badges with me. Would have been ideal. Panama, Costa Rica.
Stop any port. Accrington Stanley. Who are they?
Branches all across the region.
I've got a vision of you, Darren. Like every port you call in, you just set up a little stall.
Oh, yeah.
A little wooden thing. You get little badges out there. It's like Accrington Stanley fans.
Yeah, it would have been brilliant.
All right. Well, I don't know what AOB is, so I'll let you
I just put any other business. I don't know. It would just say anything else.
I thought it was a Greek team.
No.
Oh,
it's a bit of an English thing. Any other business. So I just anything else you wanted to mention.
Okay, that's the crickets right there, and the tumbleweeds.
I didn't hear what you said, Phil.
Oh, I said alpha, omega, beta.
Yeah, you Americans are so flippin' weird about this stuff, right? I'm not saying I'm cheesed off. I'm just really curious as to why you just have this thing for like cyrillic alphabet. I don't know. What is that all about? I think that's the right term, isn't it?
I don't know.
I certainly don't know.
It probably gets to that whole saying, it's all Greek to me.
Maybe. Okay.
Didn't we talk about that at one time? And Darren, you said that they say that in England too?
Oh,
it's all
Phil?
to me.
That was me. You were talking to me about that.
All right. No.
Yeah. And I said, I think
Australia?
Yeah, we're saying Australia. And the funny thing about it is, in Greek, they say it's all Chinese to me. That's true. That's true. Look it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the last things that we're talking about, and that is a brand new spin-off show that we're doing, and it's going to be called Across the Gridiron.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but much in the same way that we've called our show Across the Pitch, because the pitch would be the English term for what is normally known as field over here at that estate. So we kind of put a little twist on that for our new show that's American football related. the nickname for the field over here, due to the lines that are drawn on the field, is called the gridiron. So we've created this new show called Across the Gridiron. That's kind of going to be the opposite of Across the Pitch, whereas Across the Pitch is English football for American fans. This show is going to be American football for English fans.
I have to say, what took us so long to think of this, man? Like, I mean,
Well,
that was obvious, wasn't it? Like, oh man, maybe we can export this shit too.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much interest here in the UK for American football. With me, you're starting right from scratch for somebody who knows absolutely nothing about it. But I do know there's thousands of people here, who, probably millions, who are into American football big time.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. I mean, we have NFL games over in London. I think a couple of times a year now, Phil, isn't it?
Yeah, I know the Jacksonville Jaguars have kind of become London's part-time team, and I believe the Jaguars play at least once every year there.
He's saying Jaguar. He's saying Jaguar for our
Jaguar. Is that the team who the owner of Fulham owns? Maybe off mark there. I'm not sure, but the owner of Fulham does own a.
Shahid Khan, is that the owner of Fulham?
Mm-hmm.
Is that's the owner of Jacksonville?
Oh,
yeah, it is. Yeah, he's also the owner of Fulham. Yeah, so it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Shahid Khan. But yeah, so I know in the Glazer family, who owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're the ones that own Manchester United.
Yep.
And the Boston Red Sox group, who are a baseball team, they're actually the ones that own Liverpool.
Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of combinations coming across there.
Stan Kroenke, of course, Arsenal, and the Rams, and a bunch of other teams over here. So, I mean, there really is a lot of crossover between the two sports in terms of ownership.
Yeah, so we can expect Andy Holt to turn up in the States and at any time now to own a.
Hey, if he wants to take over the Cardinals, I'm all for it. Andy, do it, man. Do it.
Yeah, I will. That is the one circumstance that I will ever root for the Arizona Cardinals under. Andy, you need to come over here. You need to take the team over from the Bidwell, and I will become a Cardinals fan.
Bidwell's in a hole.
But so anyway, the big announcement is otherwise with the Across the Gridiron show is a co-host that's going to be joining us is Ross Davenport, who of course appeared with us earlier this year, and he is of course originally from England and then moved over to the States. Well versed in everything from rugby to association football, American football, and beyond.
I have given him shit on Twitter about the cricket, by the way. I'm going to do that now.
Has there been a cricket match today?
I believe there was a little one, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I think that we have reached about the end of our list for today, unless you guys had anything else to go over.
No, I'm fine. Thanks.
I think I'm pretty good as well. We've had a wonderful chat this morning.
Yeah,
this afternoon.
Good fun.
Yes,
quite
I really enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thanks again to everybody for listening, and for Arran Ayres and Darren Woodhead for joining me today. My name is Phil Kennedy, and we'll talk to you again soon on Across the Pitch.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.